As you know, the MCU is known for traumatizing our favourite characters. If it's the Mourning Widow or the God with the Dad bod, they always find a way to make it cut deep. But who exactly has suffered the most? Today I'm going to be talking about the top 5 characters who have suffered and lost the most within the MCU. In number 5 we have Ant-Man, who's a character who claims to have lost a lot, which isn't a lie, but compared to other characters he doesn't really compare. He lost 5 years with Cassie, his daughter, which I guess would be hard to lose. However, despite losing this, it wasn't as painful for him as it comes across. For him it was only 5 hours, so it wasn't like he had to sit through the 5 years thinking about his daughter growing up whilst he was lonely in the quantum realm. Also, he can spend time with her now with a new family he has with Hope and her parents. So Ant-Man is at the bottom of the list for me. Next up we have someone you probably didn't expect. I mean, you probably would expect Loki to be here, but I'm going to go deeper and say Richard E. Grant's classic Loki, who has a pretty sad backstory when you think about it, despite only hearing a narrative of it. He lost all the same as Loki, being lied to his entire life by his father, being second best to Thor and losing his mother, and then eventually dying after watching all of Asgard's people get slaughtered by Thanos. The difference is, classic Loki didn't die. He watched himself die and proceeded to live alone in exile for years as he grew old, and as a god that is longer than you would think. He eventually felt too lonely and tried to leave where he was living before being taken by the TVA and sent to the end of time for eternity, and eventually sacrificing himself to let Loki and Sylvie get to He Who Remains. I think he deserves to be on this list as Loki because they're pretty similar, but classic Loki lost more after Infinity War. Next up is Iron Man, who suffered pretty much endlessly since 2008. He was kidnapped by the 10 Rings in his first movie and then betrayed by his friend before helping fight against Loki in the Avengers. Now this may seem like a good thing to include, but in Infinity War we find out that this battle caused major PTSD for Tony, as he said he's been thinking about Thanos every day since. He then fought his best friend in Civil War when they all fought and ended up being Cap's second best to Bucky, even though he murdered his parents, and eventually he lost Peter, who was his legacy. He then got everyone back, but then lost his life in Endgame, meaning he'll never be able to see his daughter Morgan again. For this, I think Iron Man deserves 3rd place. Second place is Wanda, which I'm sure is no surprise. Wanda not only lost her parents and her life before Civil War with Hydra, but she also suffered when trying to control her powers and also when Pietro was killed. She then was forced to kill Vision and lost the love of her life twice in the space of about 5 minutes before getting dusted away. After that, she made the Hex and lost her husband for a 3rd time and also lost her children. This led to her turning to the Darkhold, which made her go through a villain arc in Multiverse of Madness, and then when she finally saw her children again, her darkness scared them away and she realised she was a monster before supposedly ending her life. Now, as sad as Wanda's story is, one character in my opinion has suffered more than her, and that is Thor. People may be annoyed about this, but if you think about it, Thor's about 1,500 years old or something, so he has much more time than Wanda has. He lost his father's trust and his place in Asgard in his first 2 movies, as well as his mother and relationship with Jane. He then lost his father and his hammer to Hela before losing all faith in Loki after he tried betraying him in the hangar. He then lost his home and his eye in a short space of time before eventually feeling like he let the Avengers down by not killing Thanos when he snapped. He then sat in a pit of depression in Asgard for 5 years before losing Nat, Tony and Steve in Endgame. After that, Jane came back into his life before dying of cancer. His hero Zeus let him down and nearly killed the goat Korg, and now the only thing he has left is love, Gor's daughter, who he's caring for. One final thing obviously is Loki, who he thought he lost in Thor and Thor the Dark World before losing him in Avengers Infinity War. Then he's going to have to go through the emotions of Loki actually being alive when he comes back after he gets back from the TVA, because it's bound that they're going to meet again. So that's why I think Thor's lost the most in the MCU. But let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think Thor lost the most, or do you think someone else lost more than him that I've forgotten to mention in the video? If you did enjoy this video, please like, subscribe, turn on post notifications. I'd really appreciate it, and I'll see you soon with another video.